Hi, this is Gary. Welcome to today's Fountain Pen Showdown. Today we're going to be taking a look at two pens. The first one is this from Jinhao. This is the Jinhao 100 in the Meteorite pattern. This came in at 15 Australian dollars, so a fairly inexpensive pen. The second pen today is this one. This is a handmade pen that I bought at Fremantle markets. It actually came in a set, so I've got a ballpoint with a similar pattern, and the cost for both of them was 99 Australian dollars. We're going to take a look at both these pens, we're going to compare them and see which one comes out the winner. So why not join me down on the mat and let's jump in and start looking at that Jinhao 100. So we're down on the mat with the Jinhao 100. This is the Meteorite pattern. So it's a black background. Then we've got various shapes with yellows, with some greens. There's bits of brown in there. There's some grey. So quite a lot of different colours going on. But I actually quite like this. I find the pens where it's just one solid colour, well, they're a bit boring. At least this has got some interest to the looks. If we look at the top, here we've got a metal inlay in a plastic cap, which comes down to the clip. The clip, again, is plastic. It's gold coloured. As you can see, it has got that Jinhao logo on there again. And the clip, well, it's nice and springy and it's easy to do. So we come down the cap with that Meteorite pattern. Here we have, again, a gold coloured band. Just spin that around. So on there, we've got Jinhao written on it. This then leads into the main body, again more of that Meteorite pattern, down to a gold coloured band and then the black cap with a flat bottom. If we take a look at the nib, I quite like this. It's a nice large nib. I would say this is a number 6 and it's a medium, so it's a nice wet nib as well. I like the duotone colour of it. That just, again, adds a little bit to that attractiveness. If we turn it over, we've just got a standard black plastic feed. This then leads into the section. This is one of those ones where there's a step up at the end of the section. It's not too bad. The step up is there, you know it's there, but I don't actually feel it when I'm writing with this pen. We then taper it up slightly until we come to the end of the section and the threads, which are on the main body. Unscrewing that main body, we can see we've got a metal holder and then we've got that cartridge converter. This is a standard Jinhao cartridge converter which came with the pen. One of the things I would say about this pen is it looks what it is. It looks plastic. Even when you look at it from afar, you can tell it's a plastic pen. It looks cheap. It feels a bit slippy. Feels alright, but in terms of looks, it's not something that you'd go overboard for. But as I said, that pattern is nice, and it was only $15. Let's fetch in the Fremantle pen. So this pen was bought from Fremantle markets. There's a gentleman there, been making pens for a lot of years. It comes as part of a set, which in one respect is nice because you get that ballpoint pen with it, but I don't use the ballpoint pen, I just gave it away. Taking a more detailed look, well, we've got more or less a flat cap. It looks flat, but there are some little facets to it, so you've got that little bit of a feel there. Into the brass ring here, which holds on the clip. The clip, again, it's another one, it's nice and springy. I think this is a plastic clip. It feels plastic to me, but it's got that brass colour. We then look at the pen as a whole. So we're starting with the cap and flows down into the body. Look at this beautiful pattern. Well, this is what makes this pen unique. So this gentleman, what he does, he takes various rocks and minerals that you find in Australia. He grinds them down and then he mixes them together with resin, and that's what's used to form this. So every pen you get is unique. No two patterns will be the same. He did say, if you look carefully, you can see his fingerprint in it. I've not been able to feel that, so I'm taking his word for it. So we've got this beautiful pattern in here on the cap. This is coming down to a rather decorative band. And then into the body itself. So again, it's all one width. There's no tapering. It just goes all the way down to here. Now the end of here, this is quite different than a lot of my pens. It's got some threads on. What that is there for is when you post the pen. So rather than just slotting it on, you actually screw it on. So it's a really solid fit that's not going to come off when you're using it. Again, we've got this brass end point here, which is faceted very slightly. The nib's a bit smaller than on the Jinhao pen. I would guess this is a number 5 nib. On there it says Iridium Point Germany, so I just think this is a standard bulk purchased nib. I believe it's a medium. It doesn't say anywhere on it, but it does write between a fine and a medium. Again, it's got that duotone. That's one of the things I do like is duotone, because as I say, I think it just adds a little bit of attractiveness to the nib. We come into the section. There is a very small step down here at the bottom. It's not something you're really going to notice. When I'm writing, I don't even notice it, because although I hold my pen low down, because it's so small, my finger's not even touching it. The section, brass coloured, very, very slightly tapering until it comes to the threads. Then there's a big step up from the end of the section to the body. So again, for me, I don't like that. I think it's unnecessary. I can understand why it's there, because something's got to be there to hold in this beautiful resin. But to me, it just detracts a little bit. So we follow then the rest of the body, and then a big step down to this end where it allows that cap to be screwed on when posted. So fetching in the Jinhao as well. Here's the two pens side by side. Both in their own right, both nice pens. They both write well, which we'll see in a minute. In terms of looks, well, this is obviously far better looking. But you've got to look at the price difference. 15 Aussie dollars, 99 Aussie dollars. It's a bit of a no-brainer. You know, you expect that difference. Let's go and get some measurements. So we're going to start with the Jinhao. I'll fetch in my trusty rule. So we'll start with the cap on. So for the Jinhao, the length capped is approximately 13.6 centimetres. Uncapped, that's approximately 12.6 centimetres. Posted, it posts all right. It's not very deep, but it does post. And posted comes in about 7.4 centimetres, so really long when it's posted. So with the Fremantle pen, capped is 13.4 centimetres, uncapped is about 12.3 centimetres, posted comes in at 15.7 centimetres. Let's look at the uncapping. To uncap, that's half, that's 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3 twists to uncap. That to me is quite a lot. Widths of the cap, so that's 1.52 centimetres all the way down. The section, it goes from 1 centimetre at its thinnest here, up to 1.1 centimetres here. The body, that comes in at 1.33 centimetres. So it's a nice pen, nice in the hand, nice to write with. It sits well. You don't need to have it posted, although as I say, it does post, although that cap is loose when posted. The Fremantle pen, so we go half, 1, 1.25. So 1.25 turns here, so that's a lot less. And personally, I like that. I find 3 is too many. 1.25, 1.5 maybe, just about the right number. So again, our widths, well, with the cap, that comes in at 1.5 centimetres for the width. The section Down here it goes from 0.8 up to 0.87, so very slight tapering. You're aware of it, but it's not that bad. And the body itself, that comes in at 1.3 centimetres. Let's get some weights and fetch in the scales of measurement. Let's just set that to 0. So the Jinhao, that comes in 29 grams. Just the cap, 12 grams. The Fremantle pen, this weighs in at 39 grams. The body is a brass body, which explains that extra weight. The cap itself, that's 16 grams. Time now for our writing sample. So I'll fetch in my trusty notepad. The notepad is a B51 from Oxford and it uses the optic white paper. So the first pen is the Jinhao 100. I say this is the Meteorite pattern and it's a medium nib. The ink I'm using is from Oster and it's called Velvet Crush. So if we look at my card for it, this is a nice purple ink. In this pen it does come out a little bit darker. This card is on rhodia paper, and as I say on this paper here, maybe it's because it's a medium nib whereas this was done with a glass pen, but it definitely looks a lot darker. Let's do some tests for wetness. So we go immediate, quite wet, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 20 seconds, and then finally 1 minute. After a minute it's dry, which given the 20-second mark you'd expect that. So now with the other pen, this is, I'm going to call this a Fremantle Handmade pen. And this is a medium. The ink in here is from Colorverse and it's just simply grey. When you look at the colouring on this pen, I thought, well, a grey ink would look perfect in here. Fetching my card for it. It's a nice dark grey when it's writing, but there's a lot of light shades in there as well. Let's go check our wetness. So immediately, you know, we expect that. The purple in there, I don't think it comes from this ink. I think it's because I've got a little bit of purple ink still left on my finger from the previous one. Let's go for 5 seconds. Yep, still got that. 10 seconds. 20 seconds. Then finally 1 minute. And after a minute, there's still a slight smudge coming off it, but it's near enough dry. For my next writing sample, I'm going to move the mic as close as I can to the paper, and then we'll just do a few lines just so you can hear the pen writing. So we'll start off with that Jinhao 100. And now with the Fremantle pen. So with the writing samples, one of the things I found with that Jinhao is I had issues with it when it first came. it was very smooth, but it didn't write very well on Clairefontaine paper. So what I've had to do with that is using some micromesh, as I've had to try and smooth it out a little bit, so it does write better on that Clairefontaine paper as well. The Fremantle pen, not done anything to that. I still think the Jinhao is slightly more scratchy. That could be because of the work I've done on it, because it's not something I'm an expert at. But in terms of how I feel, yes, I do feel it is a little bit more scratchy. Right, let's get both pens back in and we can do a review of them. So with this Jinhao, the first thing I'm going to do is look at, well, what does it look like? As I've said, it's cheap, it's plastic, and you can really tell that, which is a shame because I like the idea of the pattern, but I bought it because it was only $15. So in terms of looks, I can say, well, maybe I'm going to give that an 8 out of 10. It's all right, but as I say, it looks what it is. The Fremantle pen definitely looks a bit more elegant. I'd have liked if this clip was actually brass. As I say, it feels like it's plastic to me. I love the pattern. I love the fact that it's unique. You know, it looks really well. I don't like this. It looks as if it was added on as an afterthought. So for this, I've got to give it a 9 out of 10. Writing experience. Well, as we saw, both of them look and write really well. One of the things I will call out, and it only started when I was doing the writing sample, for the first time since I've had this and been using it, it didn't write when I started. I had to get the ink to come back through, which was a shame because up until now, I've not had any issues. I've had no hard starts, I've had no skipping, I've had no burps. It's been a beautiful experience, apart from on that Clairefontaine paper, which hopefully I've fixed now. So this one, I'm going to ignore the fact that I had this problem today. I'm being really nice. I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10. Similar, writes nice, writes really well. It's a little bit fine because, as I said, I was told it was a medium, but it's still nice. I love the grey ink in it. I've tried some other inks. They all look nice, but this grey just really shines in here. So again, I'm going to give this one an 8 out of 10. So ink flow. Well, for this one, unfortunately, because I've just had that issue, I've got to penalise it on the ink flow. So I can only give this a 7. With a Fremantle pen, been using it for months, never had an issue, used multiple different inks, always come out nice. So this one, I'm going to give an 8 to. Value for money. So this is where we have to look at the cost as well. Value for money of these two pens. As I say, this one, it was $15. It's a nice pen. It does what it says. It writes well. So for this one, I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10. For the Fremantle pen, it came as a set. I was disappointed with that. Is it worth $99 on its own? Well, actually, I think it would have been. You know, it was nice having that other pen which I could give away, but I was buying a fountain pen, not a ballpoint. So value for money here, looking at everything, given the fact it's $99 as opposed to the $15, this one I'm going to give an 8 out of 10. So our total scores, when we look at it all, out of 10, this one gives us 8 out of 10. And this one gives me 8 1/4, 8.25 out of 10. So the Fremantle pen comes out ahead. My personal thoughts on this, as I say, I like both of these pens. They both do what they're meant to. They both write nicely. Remember, they're fountain pens. What are we buying them for? We're buying them to write with. We're not buying them for the looks, although the looks do help. I like writing with this, but my problem is it's short, and with my hands I find it doesn't fit very well. When I post it, it's got the length, it's too heavy then, and I find then it's awkward to write with. So I do end up using it unposted. And I say, it's a personal preference, it works okay, but it just feels a bit out of sorts. They're really nice pens, love writing with them both. I've got multiple models of this, so you can tell I like the pen. This one, it's the only one I've got, but that's only because we don't go to Fremantle very often, and next time I go when he's there, I will be buying another one. So yeah, really nice pens. I hope that you've enjoyed today's video. What are your thoughts on these pens? Have you got any handmade pens? How do they compare to others in your collection? Why not drop a comment below? Let's kickstart the conversation and dig deeper into the comparison of Chinese and handmade pens. If you've liked this video, please give me a thumbs up, hit that like button. The more people like the video and comment on its content, the more the YouTube algorithm will push it up the rankings. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel so you can get new videos as I release them. I'll talk to you again soon.